Hi, I'm Natalie. Welcome back to my channel. Now, this video is a simple stretch for senior golfers. And it's not often that I sit down here in the introduction and you'll notice I've got a couple of gadgets here behind me. But this is an exercise that can be done sat down. Because I know as a senior golfer, it's difficult sometimes to do the exercises that are on the floor or on your knees. So I've come up with something that we can do in a seated position to make it easier for you, so you can get that stretch through the back, through the pelvis and the upper body area, which is what we're going to work on in this exercise. So let's take a look at how we can do this. So if I'm being stereotypical, one of the complaints of a lot of senior golfers is feeling stiff or losing some flexibility and mobility, particularly in the upper body. So we often see with senior golfers, they tend to get a shorter backswing, or their backswing has become shorter over the course of time. So they're losing some width, losing some arc, and as a result, tend to lose distance and consistency of strike as well. So today I've got an exercise that you can do in a seated position here using a bench or a chair, whatever you've got at home, and then using a couple of gadgets as well. And this will help you mobilize the upper body, get some rotation through the upper body and the shoulders, and also decompress through the spine and the rib cage as well. So, first gadget is a foam roller. You don't need one of those, just for example. Second gadget is a yoga block, which you also don't need. That's just how I'm going to show you how to do this today. So if we start with the yoga block, because this sits lower to the ground than the foam roller would, like that, and that will make sense in a minute. So what I'm going to do is just place my yoga block parallel to me or parallel to my bench here. This can be a book, it can be a pillow, a cushion, head cover, literally anything that you've got, just to give yourself a slight raise from the ground initially. And what I'll do is just place both feet either side of the yoga block here. So my toes are kind of roughly like 10 to 2, 5 to 1 position, because that will just open my hips and give me a little bit of space. I'm going to shuffle right to the end of the bench, and I'll start with my arms up directly above my head. And in this position, I'm going to tuck my chin. So purposefully giving myself a little bit of a double chin. Not something that we really want in everyday life, but for the purposes of this exercise, we're going to roll with a bit of a double chin, just tucking the head down. So arms up, double chin. From here, I want you to imagine as we fold over, you start your fold at the pelvis. We don't start the fold higher up the back here. We want to start at the bottom of the spine, so we have all of the range of the full spine to use before we get up to the top. So if I start to bend slowly at the hips, as far as I can, slowly curving down, you'll see my arms are falling forwards towards the block, and I'm going to fold and bend my spine as much as I can, keep bending, until my hands roughly can get just about flat on the block here. So from the side view, you should see that my spine is nicely curved through here. I've still got my butt on the bench and my hands are flat on this block. When I'm in this position here, I'm basically just going to take a breath in and out. So the breath in will expand the rib cage, exaggerate this stretch position through the back. And then as we breathe out, we'll come back to our start position. So I've got my hands on my block, mouth closed, and I'm going to inhale through the nose. So slowly, deep breath in. You should see a little bit of a rise on my back somewhere here. I can feel that air and that stretch. I'm going to hold it for a couple of seconds and then slowly release myself, breathing out. And either coming back to the top here or just resting your arms for a second. So what we want to think about is as we make this fold position, the vertebrae or the bones of our back knock onto each other like dominoes. So if you were to flick a domino, one would touch the next, and the whole trail would just collapse. And that's kind of how we want to imagine this exercise, that as the first bone folds, it knocks onto the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and we get this chain reaction of the bones just gradually bending over. And that's why it's important we start here at the bottom of the pelvis or the bottom of the spine. So to recap, arms go up, double chin position, and then we're slowly folding over from the bottom of the spine. As slowly as you can, let one bone knock onto the next until you begin to get towards the block, the hands go flat, and then you're fully curved, resting in the gap of your hips. Close the mouth, inhale through the nose, full breath in and hold it for a second, and then slowly up, returning to the start, breathing out on your way up. So if this block feels quite a long way down, and as you fold in, you don't really feel like you're getting anywhere near touching it, we need something that's slightly higher off the ground. So we can get rid of the block and bring in the foam roller. So this sits higher towards me, as opposed to the block, which is lower to the floor. Again, it doesn't have to be a roller, it can be anything, 2 or 3 pillows piled up, whatever you've got that can give you a bit of a raise. And we just do exactly the same thing. So arms up, double chin, and we'll fold from that bottom bit of spine. Curve in as much as you can, letting the spine fold. And this time, obviously, I'll hit the roller sooner than I would have hit the block because it's closer to me. So it's making the movement a little bit easier. And then we just repeat in exactly the same position. So inhale, hold it in for a couple of seconds, and then exhale and come back to the start. And just using that higher raise from the ground will make this exercise easier initially. If it's difficult, you can start here and then gradually bring yourself down to something that's closer to the floor. So there was a simple stretch for senior golfers. To be honest, any golfer can use that particular stretch, but it's definitely beneficial for the older players. With it being in that seated position, it's a little bit easier to do. For that exercise, I'd be looking for something like 5 to 10 reps, or roughly like a minute to a minute and a half's worth of reps. It needs to be slow and controlled. The breathing needs to be really good. The technique on that side of things, you want to make sure that you're controlling well. There's no point rushing through this and losing the aspect of mobility and the stretch. It's got to be done slowly and under control. Thanks for watching this video. Thanks for being on this channel with me. Don't forget to like this video if this makes sense to you and you enjoyed the content that I've delivered here. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed to the rest of the videos on this channel. Don't forget, leave me a comment in the comment section below for things that you would like to see in future videos or any questions you have on this particular exercise. And I'll see you next time with more golf fitness.